Dive into the eerie and fascinating world of legends and lore.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the episode. This is episode number 1. I just want to come on here and say I am so sorry about the audio issues, and it's peaking, it's cracking, all those things. I didn't realize that I had my audio level so high up, so everything is just always cracking. I did my best to try and enhance it. I used a bunch of AI filters, all these things to try and fix it, and unfortunately, it still just sounds like dog shit. So the stories themselves sound great. The talking, though, is the part that really upsets me. However, I'm just going to roll with it. There's no point in trying to re-edit this. If it's just the first one, we got to start from somewhere. I like the idea of every time I record a video or I record some sort of audio, it gets better the next time and the next time and the next time. And eventually it'll become cinematic quality, hopefully. So anyways, with that being said, guys, thank you again. I appreciate it. Hang with me on this one. I promise episode 2 is going to be way better. Thanks, guys.
Dive into the eerie and fascinating world of legends and lore border tales, where we explore the chilling and mysterious stories that haunt the borderlands between our world and the unexplained. Each episode uncovers a spine-tingling tale rooted in the rich cultural heritage and folklore of both regions. From ghostly apparitions and haunted places to ancient myths and contemporary urban legends, join us as we delve into the supernatural, unravel the mysteries, and bring to light the spooky narratives that have been passed down through generations. Perfect for lovers of horror, history, and cultural storytelling, Legends and Lore Border Tales is your gateway to the unknown.
3, 2... What's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of Border Tales, Legends and Lore Border Tales. This is my co-host, Fernie, otherwise known as the producer.
Yeah.
Fernie, I already did the trailer and the intro. Yes, yeah, I recorded that. I posted it. You got to listen to it. What did you think? I mean, what is it? Does it give you an idea, at least, of what we might be doing?
Yeah, I think so. I think it... well, we already saw that there's peak interest in what's going on.
Bro, 2 plays already, bro, in a month?
2 plays. 2 plays is where it's at, you know?
Dude, okay, so I guess one of the first things that we wanted, like some not ground rules, but like things we want to give the audience, like let them know is like, what is your opinion on supernatural? Have you ever had any experiences? If not, what's your opinion on all of it?
Yeah, well, like, I'll say growing up, I didn't believe in ghosts. Like, I thought it was like
bullshit.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy. I was like, no. There's no such thing as ghosts. But then I went to elementary, or like when I got in school, everyone kept talking about the school itself being haunted. And
that was when y'all went to Metz?
Yeah, when we went to Metz.
Okay, Metz Elementary, their aunt,
yes, aunt, my aunt used to work there.
She was a principal or just like an administrator?
She was a vice principal,
okay,
administrator.
Vice principal at this school, and she has a bunch of stories. She unfortunately doesn't want to talk about it, which sucks because they are really good. I mean, okay, she does want to talk about it, and she's willing to talk about it, but just not on camera. She does not like the idea of being on camera, but that's fine.
Yeah.
However,
she's also, I think, of my aunts, she's the most religious of them all because I think she's had the most experience with like paranormal stuff. Like her family, or I guess her husband's family, has had encounters like that. So
really,
yeah. So
Jose,
yeah.
Oh,
and it's also because he's from Mexico too. So
dude, there's just something about Mexico that just has like a supernatural element.
Creepy, yeah.
Our grandma, we will have some episodes with her in it. We call her Mima. She has endless stories. So she's gonna be kind of our like encyclopedia, our fact checker. I don't know about fact checking because some of her stuff I'm like, but anyways, the also unfortunate thing too is that the school that your aunt was teaching at, your tia was teaching at,
it
was it's not a school anymore. It's an administrative building, right?
Yeah, it's like an office building for janitors. I'm not sure. It's like a corrective.
Because the other thing I had asked her about was if we could get those videos, because she says there's a crap load of stuff that they caught on videos, but you know, I don't know where those files are anymore. Like if they were on like VHS and they threw them away.
Yeah.
Also, if it, the school closed 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
If they were using VHS at that point, they had probably bigger issues.
The school when I went there, it had turned 100. When I was in 5th grade, it turned 100.
And so what year was that then?
Oh, I don't know, like 2011.
2011. Okay.
I think, yeah.
Damn.
2011. Yeah,
okay.
The school's really old because that was the 100-year anniversary of the new school that they built because the old school had burnt down, and it was like
completely burned to the ground, and they built it back up on the same plot of land or whatever.
Same land, yeah.
Holy shit. Okay. So, anyways, your opinion has since changed since you were a kid.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think because of my tia telling us the stories, my cousins being at their house and then hearing noises, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's just so and so." I'm like,
they were just like, "That's just Charlie."
Yeah,
that's Charlie.
Yeah, and then my little cousin like kind of she's also started seeing like this guy. Oh,
I'm sorry. It's okay, mi mamá. Yo lo puse en el corto de Daisy.
Cut.
Nah, and we're back.
We're back. Yeah, we're back. But yeah, my little cousin, she started seeing
Amelia.
Yeah, she started seeing her grandpa, but she had never met him before. Like she was born.
Okay, let's go back. Hold on.
Yeah.
One second. So, how old is she?
Right now she's 5.
Okay. And at the time when all this was going down?
Yeah, so she was born and she was like maybe a year old.
So she was born like 2019.
2019,
okay.
Yeah, something like that.
So at 1 year old, she was already starting to talk and kind of mumble and whatnot?
Yeah, well, kind of. She was barely learning how to walk. And they took her to Mexico that year and she just walked around. But she wasn't conscious. Like she didn't remember anything.
Mexico, she went to Mexico and her supernatural like powers came out.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Because then when she came back, his father ended up passing away.
They got back?
Yeah, not when they got back, but sometime in between going back.
Okay.
My Theo's father ended up passing away, and she never consciously got to recognize him and see him.
Yeah.
But when they were here in the States, she would look at like a chair that she had in her room because she had like this Minnie Mouse like table, and she would look at it and she'd be like, "That guy, el hombre. El señor."
El señor?
Yeah, and then they'd be like, "Who are you talking about? No one's in your room. Like, no one's there." And
also imagine if like it wasn't a ghost and it was just some creepy guy in her house.
And that's why they were trying to figure out who it was until one day my tia was looking through pictures.
Yeah.
And she stumbled upon my tia's father.
Yeah.
And her grandpa, and she was like, "Oh, el señor, that's the guy."
Bro.
And she was like,
what was your family's reaction?
It was kind of like say it again one more time. Because like she never got to see him like that.
Yeah.
She's only ever seen like pictures, and maybe I don't think she met him. I don't think she was like, "Oh hi, I'm your granddaughter," or like she was never old enough to remember.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
So it was pretty wild. Like, I mean, one thing for a kid's imagination, but also like she was still young, and she was like very positive that he was in the room.
Mm-hmm. So now that she's 5, does she still talk about stuff like that or no? Like, you think it's like past?
No, I don't think it's happened as often. But my cousins have had stories too in their house.
Her older sisters.
Yeah, her older sisters. One time, my cousin had talked about playing like with the ball with her grandpa, and then he passed away. And then a few nights after he passed away, like there was just bouncing and walking going on in the hallways.
Yeah.
She had no idea what was going on. She went outside. No one was out there. The lights were off.
So this was happening at the same time that the younger cousin was seeing him in his chair.
Yeah.
In her chair.
Yeah.
The other, which cousin was this one?
This was Natalie.
And she's the second
She's
oldest.
The oldest, yeah.
And she would have been what, like 14 at the time?
Yeah, she's like 14, 15 maybe.
And she just heard bouncing.
Yeah. And she saw like a ball bouncing, like in the door crack. Yeah, it was super strange, weird.
That's kind of creepy, bro.
Yeah.
So, okay. Were they were all, I'm assuming, pretty close with him then?
Yes. My cousin, the oldest cousin, Natalie, she was
the closest, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're getting a little off track.
We're getting off track.
It's good to know that
there's stories.
There are tons of stories.
That's personal life stories that have happened, and that's why I've changed my mindset from because there's good and there's evil, and To have one, you have to have the other.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes to all that. I'm thinking of what I personally 100% believe in that stuff. Matter of fact, something happened the other day at my house, bro. I didn't even. Okay. You remind me to tell that one in a second.
Yeah.
So, for the longest time, I mean, I was just like a scared kid. Like, a lot of things scared me. And then it didn't help that one of our uncles, Theo Fern, when we were kids, he made us watch The Ring.
I've never seen that.
I think that's the one. Whatever is the. I think it's The Ring, but it's whichever one is the girl that comes out of the TV from the well and is all like wet. They made fun of it in that movie, Scary Movie.
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, that he made us watch that, and dude, I was like, this is when we still lived in Laredo, and both my parents were together. So this would have been pre-2005, bro. And no, this would have probably been like 2003. Yeah, around 2003, 2004, whatever. We watched the movie. We go to bed, bro. We're all freaked out. And he had this mask, and he told us it was like real human skin. I don't think it was. I think it was just like a Freddy Krueger mask, but without the hair or whatever.
Yeah.
Or not Freddy Krueger. I'm sorry. Jason, the one with the knife.
Yeah, like the hockey mask.
Yeah. No. That one's the other guy.
Jason. That's Jason.
Okay.
So Freddy Krueger.
No, Freddy Krueger's the one with the Mike Myers.
Mike Myers.
Mike Myers.
Oh, it's like white.
Yeah. We named every other monster. No, Freddy Krueger's the one with the claws.
Yeah, and he's like
the ball sack face.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he had a mask that looked like that, and he came to our window. Okay, so let me backtrack a second. A few weeks before that, I swore I saw somebody's shadow like by my window, and it was myself and Ira, my younger brother, in that room. And the way the room was set up was it's similar to this. There's a window right there. His bed was here, and then my bed was over there because it was just a wall. There was no closet. Our closet would have been, if this is his bed right here, across that way, and where that wall is where our closet was. But this window is pretty much exactly where ours would have been. Well, I swear, we didn't have any blinds or anything. We just had curtains, so you could see the silhouette of somebody. And I saw somebody walk by. And I freaked out, and I guess me freaking out, it might have been the neighbor or something. They took off, and because I saw them react to me screaming. They ran, and I called obviously my dad came and was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" So that had already happened. I think I'm almost positive it was just the neighbor. And matter of fact, me screaming probably scared the shit out of him more than it scared me. Because this was like maybe 2 a.m. or
yeah, so it's like dark.
Dark as hell, bro. And this is like 2000s, bro, before they had LED lights. I don't know when LED lights came out, but it was like the orange lights.
Yeah, like those yellow.
They're buzzing, and you can barely hear anything, and there's like a fuck ton of bugs always flying around them.
Yeah.
So it was, you could see it. Like there was some light, but not really. Anyways, so then fast forward again, Theo Fern had that mask on. And we saw the movie, and he was like, "You guys better go to bed." Blah blah blah. I'm trying to be super serious about it. He'll let us watch this movie, but we have to go to sleep afterwards. Also, he said it like as if we wanted to watch it. We did.
Yeah, you're right.
He made us watch it. So it was me, Violet, my oldest sister, Mindy, the second oldest. I know you know this, but I'm saying it for
for the camera,
for the people, for the audience. And then it was Violet, Mindy, me, my younger brother Ira, and I think Kayla would have been a baby, so she might have just been asleep when this happened. So anyways, bro, he around the same time, probably 2 or 3 in the morning or whatever, or maybe it was right after, I don't know. He comes by, so we just hear somebody banging on the window and screaming, "Ah!" And we didn't have a fence in our backyard. Oh, that's what I forgot to say. We didn't have a fence. None of the houses were fenced
It was
off.
just open?
So I could, if I had my window open and the neighbor had theirs window open, we could see into their house. Like there was nothing, like all that whole neighborhood. We ended up getting fences like a few months later. Though I guess the city put them in. I don't know. But anyways, we were all just freaked out. We were crying like, "Oh my god, I'm crying." And then his what a piece of shit. He took off the mask and was just laughing and pointing at us. I'm like, "Dog, I hate you so much."
That's crazy.
Yeah. So anyways, because of that, I don't want to say that was like, that made me very cautious and very scared, but it definitely didn't help.
Yeah, it definitely put you on your toes.
Yeah.
Like,
and so then when it came to later in life and I saw a few things, I was like, I tried to be skeptical, but it was too hard when you were seeing things all the time. We had an apartment that was, I don't want to say all the stories today because I want to save them throughout the series or whatever, but I have a few. So to kind of set the premise again, of when I truly did become like a believer in the paranormal. Well, two things. One, I grew up in a very religious household. My dad was a pastor. My mom was very involved with the church, and when they divorced, obviously we weren't as involved as much, but that like mindset did kind of get instilled in my head.
Right.
And so it was just kind of like the idea of there's something else out there, not just us. You know what I mean? So that's one. And then two, the apartment we lived in, bro. Not the okay. So when we first moved to Austin, your parents were already living here, and we got to crash with them for a few months while my mom got her feet, or her footing or whatever. So we stayed in y'all's apartment. It was a 2-bedroom, and Nick, your older brother, had just been born, so y'all were staying in the main room, and we were staying in the other room, in the spare bedroom. Then we got our own place, and that was another 2-bedroom apartment. But Theo friend moved in with us again there, and he scared the shit out of us again. But that was all just like pranks.
Yeah.
Well, then after that, my mom got with a guy who, I'll share the story later. He ended up trying to kill my mom, which is a wild time period.
Yeah.
Because it was over a few weeks. But anyways, she got with him, and we moved. The apartment complex was so big that it was like across the street were 2 sets of apartments, but it was the same company that owned it. And it was technically still the same complex, but it was just across the street. So we moved from the side that your parents lived into the other side, which was honestly, I mean, the whole area was ghetto, but that other side was a lot more ghetto because the main office wasn't over there. So they were just like, oh, it's a free for all.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one time they put in, they had fixed the gates, bro, and nobody had saved their gate keys or whatever.
So everyone was like locked out.
Yeah, and so then one guy with a giant truck just ran it over. That's how much that side did not give a shit. So anyways,
crazy.
That one was a 3-bedroom, and I found this out years later because I saw just so much shit there. But apparently, nobody wanted it. We got it for a steal. It was cheaper to rent that 3-bedroom than the one that your parents were renting originally because nobody wanted to move into it. Like I guess they had just had a bunch of scary experiences, saw a bunch of crazy shit. Like fuck that, blah 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 blah. We ended up staying there for like years, bro. Like at least 5 years.
Yeah,
at least 5 years. There was a hostage situation that happened in that complex. There was the neighbor upstairs got raided by the SWAT team, the City of Austin SWAT team. Obviously, that guy trying to kill my mom almost caused a fire.
Yeah.
That area sucked. But anyways, that apartment, to this day, I'm fully convinced it is haunted because I saw.
It's got some bad aura to it.
Dude, I saw little kids in there. Doors were constantly being slammed, but it wasn't just like slammed. It was like open and closing, like 7 or 8 times in a row, dude. Just and then the lights would randomly turn on and turn off. The TV story that I told you about, I told you that one, right?
Yeah.
That happened in that same apartment, bro. And when we moved out, it was weird. Like when we moved out, it just felt lighter. It was weird.
There's like some sort of presence.
Exactly. And like when we moved, like we just felt like a pressure got lifted off of our shoulders. I don't know. So anyways, because of that, I definitely all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't believe in everything. I think it's just a cool idea of like letting the brain go numb and just listen to some scary stories. Like I love scary stories. Obviously, not everyone does. My fiance Kyler isn't necessarily kind of like them because they scare the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And but I like them, so I can't bring them up all the time. My favorite thing is when we get together and we have like Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas or whatever, and then Mima, again, our encyclopedia, just starts
crazy shit.
Yeah.
Crazy. The craziest thing you could think of. She'll be like, yeah, it's true.
I was on like ChatGPT one time, just like, what are some cool cryptids from Mexico or South Texas or whatever? And one of them was like a duende, which is like a Mexican goblin or
like a
dwarf. I don't know.
Yeah. Like a gnome.
And I had exactly. I had never ever brought this up to me, not once. She had never talked about it. I just asked her one time, and I was like, "Do you know what a duende is?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, I've seen one." And then she told me this crazy ass story, bro. And I pulled up a picture. I was just like, "Okay, let me look up a duende on Google." And they pulled up a random generated image, bro. She was like, "That's exactly what he looks like. Obviously different colors." But I was like,
"What?
Okay, that's fucking wild.
That's crazy."
Yeah. So, anyways, I think we'll eventually get to that story because again, Mima has another. And the other thing too, I want to do with this podcast is like we're not gonna have our family members forever. Right. As morbid as this sounds, like we're not gonna have them forever.
Right.
And it'd be cool to just have this series of like, oh shit, here's an audio of your dad talking about some scary stories that he had, because he has a fucking wild one.
Yeah.
And then that one is he gave a ghost a ride home. So stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, that one's good. That's a crazy story.
Top tier story. So anyways, we have that one. And then, Mima just talking about how life was when she was younger, when she still lived in Mexico. Apparently her grandparents, our great grandparents, were into brujeria, heavy shit, bro. Like one time my mom woke up and there was like black candles all around her bed. And I'm like, okay, well that's wild.
Yeah.
And then my mom too has some crazy stories, bro. But it's not just like, oh, we saw a demon. It's also like, again, like a duende.
Yeah, it's like a reoccurring thing.
Right. It's like, a duende isn't just like it's not just like the Christian aspect of like, oh, good and bad. It's like, well, that's just like a mythological creature.
Yeah.
And then like a lechuza is supposed to be an owl that is a witch. Like, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and they have red eyes, and every time you see them, or if you see them, they're a sign of bad omens to come or whatever. Yeah. Which Theo Fernie has one where he got drunk. He got drunk and he saw one. I'll leave it at that because I do want to see if he'll tell us that story. So anyways, the idea behind this is, and the format can change. I don't know if it's going to be like, oh, what we just want to talk about who has a duende story, and then we find all those. And then who has a lechuza story, and we find all those stories. Or it could just be like whatever Mima wants to talk about that day, or whatever we find online.
Yeah, wherever we can fish out.
Yeah. So what I've done, the way I want to do this is, one, we have some experiences ourselves that we can share. That'll be one thing. Two, we can interview somebody, either have them here or you interview them by yourself, and then we play that audio or whatever, and then we can talk about it, like kind of like how we're doing now. And three, which is what we're going to do for now, just because we're starting to get the wheels rolling on this, is find stories off the internet, so like Reddit and whatnot. Yeah. Specifically in this region of the U.S. in Texas, just because I know I'm more familiar with, I guess, the legends and lore of this area versus like, in Minnesota, the Dogman or the Michigan Dogman. I'm like, I have no idea what that is, but it's cool.
Interesting.
So anyways, that's what we've done so far. And with those, because I don't know the people, and I tried to record them talking. I tried to record myself talking about it and reading their story, but I just kept stuttering and it was bad. And maybe I will do that at some point.
Eventually.
And be able to read it, like get better at reading. Because I'm not very good. I can read. I just stutter out loud. When in school, when they were like, let's do popcorn reading, I was a kid that was like, don't let him read. We're going to be here on the same page for 45 minutes. Yeah. That was me. Not because I'm dumb, but I have a stuttering issue. Yeah. Unfortunately. So anyways, because of that, I have found that I can record my audio and then plug it into a software that'll change it's almost like you just change your voice. And so it's still me talking into it. Or there's other ones where it's just like, I just had such a hard time with it that I just took the text and directly put it in that thing. And so that it's like an AI generated voice. But I don't want this whole thing to just be all AI. Like, it's not like, I still want there to be art and creativity and all this. It's just, unfortunately, I have a starting issue. And if we end up making money off this and we can hire voice actors.
Yeah, some voice actors. That'd be crazy.
Perfect. Or if somebody wants to do it out there for free, or what is it? Pro bono.
Yeah, pro bono
for right now. Then that'd be sweet. And then when we start making cheddar, we'll figure out some others. But anyways,
some off.
Yeah. I'll pinch off a piece of my crack rock. But anyways, just to get started with the AI stuff, or just to get started for now with the stories that I found online, we're going to be using the AI audio or whatever to do the stories and whatnot. Yeah. So we are going to be crediting everyone that we heard their stories and found them online. All of these I have found on Reddit. If I don't plug the name at the beginning, they're going to be in the show notes. So, and that way y'all can go back and find them and read them. I have kind of changed them up a little bit, not because I want to add extra details to this and that. Some of them I did have to just to, zhuzh them up a little bit, but also because it's like a tweet. It's not in like a storytelling format. So I had to change it up a little bit, but not, its story at the core is still the same. So with that being said, I think we're going to start with our first story.
Story 1. The Haunted Ranch, Tales of Fire and Shadows. Growing up, my mom's side of the family owned a sprawling ranch in Mexico, close enough to the border for us to visit on weekends. The ranch was an impressive piece of land, a microcosm of our family history and stories. It was a collection of 7 homes, laid out in a unique fashion, divided by a street running through the middle. 4 homes stood on one side, while 3 were on the other, creating a loose circle. This layout made it feel like a small, intimate village where everyone knew everyone. We would gather there often, for holidays, celebrations, or just to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. My aunts and cousins were always eager to share eerie tales about the strange happenings on the ranch. They spoke of mysterious balls of light that floated in the night, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere, and shadows that moved on their own. These stories, though chilling, were a cherished part of our visits, adding a touch of supernatural intrigue to our family gatherings. One particular visit stands out more than any other. There was a wedding party, a grand celebration that brought together family and friends from near and far. The ranch was buzzing with excitement, laughter, and the joyous sounds of music and conversation. Naturally, with so many guests, we stayed overnight. The homes were filled to capacity, every room occupied by someone. As the night wore on, it became clear that there wasn't enough space for us to sleep at any of my aunt's homes. The only available option was the house that no one lived in, a house steeped in dark lore. This house had a sinister reputation. It was said that my mom's uncle, who had dabbled in black magic, had lived there and had met a mysterious end within its walls. The house stood apart from the others, almost as if shunned. It was small, consisting of just 2 rooms, each with its own entrance from the outside, connected by an entryway inside. The very thought of spending the night there filled us with dread, but we had no other choice. I was around 10 years old at the time, with my older sister, who was 11, and my younger sister, who was just 3. My mom, always protective, inspected the room we were to sleep in. It had 2 beds, a queen and a twin. My older sister claimed the twin bed, while my mom, younger sister, and I shared the queen. The other room was a chaotic mess, filled with old furniture and items piled so high that you couldn't walk through it. The doorway separating our room from the other was covered by nothing more than a hanging bedsheet. That night, I fell asleep quickly, oblivious to the eerie atmosphere. However, my mom and older sister found it difficult to rest. The night was still, and with no air conditioning, we had the windows open to let in the cool night air. It was then that they began to hear the sound of footsteps outside, someone or something walking around the house repeatedly. My mom, ever cautious, had made sure the door to our room was locked, but the footsteps continued. Suddenly, they heard the door to the other room open from the outside. The sound of objects being moved and thrown around filled the air. It was as if someone was furiously rummaging through the cluttered room. My mom got up, turned on the light, and cautiously peeked into the other room, but saw no one. The room, though disheveled, appeared undisturbed. Thoroughly spooked, she decided that we couldn't stay there any longer. She woke us all up, her urgency palpable, groggy, and confused. I barely understood what was happening as my mom hurried us out of the house. We crossed the street to stay at my mom's aunt's home. The night air was filled with tension as my mom recounted the night's events to her aunt. Her cousins, concerned and curious, decided to check the house for any signs of a break-in. They armed themselves with flashlights and bravely headed over. They returned a short while later, reporting that they found no footprints around the house, no signs of forced entry, and no one inside. What my mom's cousin said next sent chills down our spines. She casually mentioned that while she was getting water, she looked out the window and saw the house engulfed in flames. She explained that this was a common sight, almost a nightly occurrence, and that it was attributed to the black magic our uncle had practiced, which haunted the house. The house would appear to be on fire, but as soon as anyone approached, the flames would vanish, leaving no trace. The night was filled with hushed whispers and uneasy glances. Eventually, we set up some blankets on the floor and tried to sleep until sunrise. That night left me deeply unsettled, and to this day, the memory of it lingers. The ranch, with its history and haunted tales, was a place of both fond memories and eerie experiences. Over the years, I have collected countless ghost stories from my cousins in Mexico. Each tale adds to the rich tapestry of our family's history, a blend of reality and the supernatural. The The ranch, with its haunted house and mysterious occurrences, remains a place of intrigue and mystery, a testament to the enduring power of family lore and the unknown. One story that stands out involves my cousin Maria. She was always the brave one, never afraid of the dark or the stories that surrounded the ranch. One summer, she decided to prove once and for all that there was nothing to fear. Armed with a flashlight and a notebook, she spent a night in the haunted house, determined to document any strange occurrences. As the night wore on, Maria sat in the room where we had once stayed, jotting down notes. She heard the familiar footsteps outside, but she steeled herself and didn't move. Then, she heard the door to the other room creak open. The sound of objects being moved and thrown around started again. She shone her flashlight through the doorway, but saw nothing. Just as she was about to dismiss it as her imagination, she felt a cold breeze sweep through the room, despite all the windows being closed. Determined to uncover the truth, Maria spent the next few nights in the house. Each night, the same events repeated themselves: footsteps, the door opening, and the sounds of movement. On the 5th night, she decided to leave a tape recorder running in the other room. When she listened to the recording the next day, she was shocked to hear not just the sounds of movement, but also faint whispers, almost as if someone was chanting. This experience left Maria convinced that the house was indeed haunted. She shared her findings with the family, adding yet another layer to the house's dark reputation. The stories and experiences from the ranch have become a part of our family's history, passed down from generation to generation. They serve as a reminder of the mysteries that surround us and the thin veil that separates the known from the unknown. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, the tales from the ranch are a testament to the power of storytelling.
Whoa. Dude, okay, so on some of these, I don't know if it's my computer or if the stories are just that crazy, bro, but I forget which one it was that I was working on, because I've worked on a few of them already. The audio, bro, has this loud scratching in the background, and then they just get the voice gets quieter and quieter, but there's no setting to change the voice's volume. Like when you're doing this.
Yes.
And I've even done it where I've changed the story and it doesn't do it.
Whoa.
I've done it where, and so this is, I don't know. So just anyways, like while I've worked on these, I make the dumb mistake of doing it late at night when obviously Kyler and I are already done for the day. We're winding down for bed, we're getting ready for bed, and like she works in the mornings and sometimes I have the afternoon shift, so I get to sleep in. So I'm like, cool, I'll work on this right now since I have some time. Bro, my neighborhood, you've been to my neighborhood. It's already dark as hell.
Yeah.
And then I have my the blinds open for the window.
Like nothingness, right? It's all
Bro,
dark.
Terrifying. And every once in a while, I think I see something. And I'm just like, it's a bug. It's a coyote. We do have a coyote problem out there.
Yeah.
But anyways, I make the dumb mistake of listening to these while I'm like in the dark, bro. And I had to turn the light on, but then I'm like, dude, like I feel bad because I have a ceiling light on or whatever, but I'm like, fuck this. I'm too scared.
Yeah.
What would you think?
I think crazy. I think wild story and wild people. To,
Yeah.
like go out and investigate. I think is the first thing. Like
I was like, why would, and all they took was a flashlight?
a flashlight and that's it.
Okay. So at the beginning when she's describing the neighborhood, she kind of described like a cul-de-sac, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like the end of a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Does that kind of sound like when you and your side of the family goes to Mexico, what y'all see and like how the layout of the houses or what?
Yeah, so like when I was imagining like when they said ranch, like I immediately thought like Texas ranch, like with like like those farm ranches with like grass everywhere. But then she said 7 houses, and I was like, dang, they're either rich. But then I realized I was on the border, and you know what I've seen in Mexico is like it's kind of like a big house.
But they break it up.
Yeah, it's like a big house with a big like fence around it, or some sort of like way to separate them. But like on the inside, there's these different kind of compartments of it, and there's like one hallway to go to each of them.
Okay.
And so I think what happened is like there's 7 houses, and they're like separated over this course of land, but there's a house kind of out there.
Oh, that shack, dude.
Yeah, like a shack.
I just
or
imagine,
something.
I
That's what
imagine
I'm
like
imagining.
a tiny little shack like those ones. I think they have a few in like New Mexico and obviously in Mexico where they're just like mud, like a mud hut.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I
like
mean?
kind of like
That's what I was thinking of.
That's definitely what I think is what the house looks like,
Right?
and why it's so creepy. Because
then also it's probably because they have so many houses and they need a large piece of land. That it's secluded.
Yeah.
Like it's even if it's in a small town, the main part of the town is still kind of far away.
Yeah.
And I mean, from what I was also envisioning, it's like in the outskirts of the town or the whatever. So it's like there are no streetlights out there.
Like there's like forest and grass.
Now the last time I went to Mexico was like 2002, so it's been a very long time. Obviously, you guys go like all the time.
Yeah, we've been more recently.
Not just from our family, like my mom and your dad, but from your mom's side of the family.
Yeah.
They all have properties out there, and obviously that's where they're from.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that some of these can like. What I'm envisioning is probably different from what you're envisioning because you've had real life experiences. Not saying the paranormal part, but the like you know what she's describing structurally, right?
Yeah.
Like because you've seen that type of shit.
Yeah.
And not that I haven't, but I haven't. I mean, movies don't do anything justice.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Yeah. No. Where I like, cause I've been to like a rancho, you know, like that's where my family is, and so like they have houses, and it's all like cement.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like wood cabins or anything. Like,
Right.
It's a cement house that's pretty much like as well as you could get to like a mud hut
Mm-hmm.
with cement is pretty much what it looks like. And then, and to be there, first of all the doors are creaky. Like there's no door that doesn't make no sound or like there's like
not enough WD-40 in the world to make it smooth.
Yeah, no, these doors are like old, run down, like you're out there. And when you go outside, it's like rocks or grass.
Yeah.
And if there's rocks, then there's probably like some yellow, barely alive grass sticking out the ground. So like when you're walking out there, you can hear it. You hear people
like, walking. Yeah.
It's like gravel.
That's insane.
So hearing the footsteps is kind of like
you immediately hear that. Yeah. There isn't like that could be a dog or like when somebody's walking.
You'll be able to tell.
Yeah,
like because when we spent the night at like what I'm imagining is when you go there, the windows aren't like here. Like, it's like stained glass windows, like those like pure glass. Like you throw a rock at it, it'll
completely shatter.
Yeah, like there's no like how do you?
It's not like tempered glass.
Tempered glass. No, it's just regular old glass. So tempered glass, to me, had like you can't hear a lot from it because it's so thick. Yeah. But because the glass windows in the house there aren't tempered, they're not as thick. Yeah. And so you hear everything. You hear a bug hitting the window, birds flying through across the window, people walking outside, people talking out. You hear that. You like no matter what you hear.
Right.
So you like someone definitely has to be there. Mm-hmm. Like you can't fake it. Yeah. It's not easy.
Somebody didn't put a speaker in there.
Yeah.
Because damn. Okay. So when she said that it was her and her two sisters and her mom was in there. Yeah. They're young kids, so like. I'm kind of on the line when it comes to like when you say a story from obviously I have stories from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But like when you're a kid, are you like more susceptible to believing the supernatural because you're more like spiritually open, like you're still kind of a pure soul?
Yeah.
Or is it because you have like an active imagination?
Yeah, and you're easily fooled too. Like,
right. But the mom also saw all of this, and
she's the one who reacted to it.
Like. I've said this to you before. We've talked about it. Like when you're a kid, like you can get freaked out, and your parents will always be the rational one. But as soon as you see them freak out, you're like, "Oh, something's actually bad." Yeah, something's bad. Like when we went to Hobby Lobby, it was myself, you, your brother, us three.
Yeah.
We were at Hobby Lobby, and your parents got separated from us, and I freaked out, and we're like. Tia Paula, Tio Simon, Mom, Dad. We were screaming, and they were just literally on the aisle right next to us because we all got stuck looking at. I think it was like a toy or something.
Yeah.
But like they obviously weren't freaking out, so like, okay, cool. Yeah, but like.
But if they were to start yelling like that, then I would.
Right, I would also freak out.
Are we in a hostage situation? What's going on? Why are they yelling? Yeah.
So I feel like that story is wild. Also because like. When she heard all those noises, she went into that room, and she says that it was disheveled. But I think that just means like the room is just so like there's so much junk in there.
Yeah,
that it just already looks like somebody went in there. But if it hadn't been touched in years and just had been left there, like there's probably a like dust on everything.
Yeah.
So could you have seen like somebody's handprints or like a footprint
or like something that you haven't touched and like the dust is wiped off?
Yeah. Like, was it? I think it was. I've heard that there's a story in San Antonio, but then I've also heard that that's not actually where it happened. somewhere in the U.S. Some people think it's in San Antonio. Some people think it's in another, not even in the same state, but a whole different state, where like back in the 50s or 60s or whatever, there was a bus taking some kids home, and they got hit by a train.
Yeah,
and then obviously nobody survived. And so then now, if you park at the end of the road and you put your car in neutral, your car will get start moving and get pushed over the train tracks. And some people, what they'll do is they'll take like baby powder and they'll throw it in the back of the car, like on the trunk or whatever, to see if they can see hands. Some people say they do. Some people say they don't. It's fake. Or some people are like, oh, that's probably your handprints from like when you close your trunk or whatever, and the baby powder.
Oh, it's like the oils that.
Yeah, the baby powder gets put on there, and then while your car's moving, the shaking, the vibrations like settle it, and so like wherever your hand grease is,
it'll stay on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if it's that or what, but maybe they saw something like that, and that's kind of brought up some. I don't know, that freaks me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, when they saw the house flames, like it was on fire.
Yeah.
Okay. So like,
the only thing though is that it was only one person who sees that, and it's the person who's regularly there. So I'm like,
sure. But then I guess the other thing too that I've always thought about is like, I've heard this theory is that like the supernatural is just the veil between us and like a different dimension thinning out. So like maybe that could be purgatory. Purgatory is just a whole other dimension, you know. There's a thing of like some people believe like heaven and hell is in a whole different dimension.
Yeah.
So when you die, you're like your soul goes to like a whole different dimension. Yeah. But when she got close, it would just go away.
Yeah.
You know, and so but the other thing too would be like, if she's seeing that, again, I've already said that like I think that this is probably in the outskirts of town. If somebody that doesn't even know them is like down the street or whatever, are they also seeing the same thing?
Right.
Or is it only her and like the ghost only let you see what they want you to see?
Yeah.
But that, I don't know.
Also,
did that house at one point catch on fire? Or that's how the uncle died?
Or something. Yeah, so, I want to find out more about that.
And so now that like that part of the world is just stuck in a time loop or whatever. So it, you know, I don't know.
No, like. Yeah, like I also thought it was strange that the uncle was the one. Like I was like, not too many uncles are out there practicing black magic. You know, like I always find it like the aunt or the grandma or
which is fucked up. We're not saying all women are witches, but in Mexican stories,
it's usually women that are doing it. So I think it's pretty interesting that it's the uncle. And
it's like you don't hear like a lechuza, which is that owl that is a witch, is never associated with it becoming a guy witch or a warlock. I think.
Yeah, whatever the male version of a witch.
It's always a female, which is weird. Maybe that's just something with like Mexican culture or whatever. And they're like
super machismo or whatever.
Yeah, it's like it was never a guy.
Yeah.
But that is why I don't know. Like that part, the flames thing, like would freak me out the most.
Yeah, and if I was the one who saw it. And like no one else is like I'd be like I'm going crazy.
Right.
I need to go to a therapist or something.
Like
I'm seeing it. You're not seeing it. I'm looking at it.
It's like if what's that thing? Like light travels differently in space.
Oh yeah.
So say all the stars that we see at night are from billions of years ago, but that's just how long it took for the light from that star to get to us or whatever it is. And if we were to go to where those stars are right now and look back at Earth, you'd be able to see like prehistoric times or whatever. I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
That's what they say. That's
what they say.
That's the time
who
travel.
They are.
Yeah. We know because we're traveling at the speed of light, and that's how we time travel according to the scientists.
Right. Exactly.
To them.
Who is them? Yeah. They're probably listening. Anyways, Okay. So, also, the cousin or whoever it was that described
Maria,
she's wild.
She's
for
crazy.
Doing that.
Absolutely. I don't know what's wrong with her.
Stupid.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't believe. I'm gonna fucking Dora the Explorer. I'm gonna put it into the mystery. Like no, this isn't. You're not finding like there was treasure like buried in the property. Like no, this is like a legit ghost, and you're trying.
Or like this is like actual danger because they don't know if someone broke in or not. Like it could very well be that there's just some homeless guy walking into their house and then leaving. Yeah. No prints.
That reminds me of like Family Guy does a thing with like Home Alone. Like imagine like realistic robbers going in, and they're like, oh look, there's toy cars there. Watch your foot. And then instead of going and getting like pranked by this kid, they just shoot him in the head. And they were like, any like rational robber would have just killed the kid in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And so this is like, I'm gonna go find this ghost. No, it's just a fucking crazy dude living in attics.
Yeah, it could like that's the part that like really is like I don't know why you would do that. Like you have like, but I also guess there was no evidence that someone was there. Like it seemed very like this is paranormal for sure.
Yeah.
But going in, putting yourself in that situation, and just being like, I'm gonna figure this out. Well, also
like, okay, if you are constantly like, if you constantly watch like comedies or constantly watch like one genre of film or whatever, like, are you less, I don't want to say susceptible, but like, do you not experience it as heavy as like the first time you experience it? So like, like if you're constantly seeing scary movies, you grow a tolerance to it, so you're not as scared. So like Freddy Krueger isn't scary to you, but like The Ring could be, or like no scary movies are like they don't freak you out anymore because it's like, you know, I heard a girl one time was like, modern scary movies aren't good anymore because they just rely on jump scares. But also like, what?
How do you anticipate a jump scare?
Right. Like also like, how else are you gonna get scared? Like, oh my god, he's an alien.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only scary part. Like, it's like, no, I don't know. So like maybe because that lady has been seeing, I don't know if it was Maria, whoever it was that had been seeing the house on fire for the longest time. She's just like, okay.
Yeah, I guess it just happens. It happens. Like that's kind of how she said it. Like it's like, it's time to time you look at it. It's on fire. Yeah.
Well, okay. So I saw a thing. There was this guy on TikTok who I have to find the video. If I can find it, I'm gonna plug it here. But plug it right here. No, I'm just kidding. Right there. He has he's what's the term? He sees people when they're not there, and he like thinks the radio is talking to him. He's a psychopath.
Oh, like schizophrenic?
He's schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And so what he ended up getting is he got a service dog, and if he sees something, he'll tell the dog greet.
And then if it doesn't greet, it's not.
That means it's a figment of his imagination. So like, if you took, like, say you saw that, and you took your dog there, obviously, I've heard at least that like animals have like a sixth sense. So like if they start barking at a wall just randomly, you're like, whoa, something's there. Yeah. But if they don't react, then maybe that's where you go get yourself checked. So if you take a dog, but also I don't know if a dog would freak out to a fire if they weren't in it.
Yeah.
Like if whichever one of the ants or whatever was standing and saw the flames and were like, whoa, that's weird, and they had like a dog similar to that, they're like, greet, is there a fire there?
Yeah.
And he's like, just, you know, he's just like, okay, there's nothing there. Then do you call a priest? Do you call, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that one was, yeah.
It's a little bit, it's interesting because I feel like as
the other thing too that we're just walking right past is because this was a wedding. Anyone that knows anything about like Mexican parties is that they last until like 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't matter if it's a wedding, if it's a quinceañera, if it's a fucking
baptism,
for the kid's second birthday.
Yeah.
It's going, any reason to party for a long time, it's happening. Yeah. So when they left after the wedding or when they retired, so was that like 9 o'clock at night? Was that 3 in the morning, which is the witching hour?
Yeah.
I don't know. But either way, it's at night, so it's dark. It's creepy as hell.
Which is actually pretty funny because like in Mexico, everyone is like, or at least when I've been there, they're like,
don't be outside.
Don't be outside. Just stay inside. Like, as much as you can. Like the party will go on. We'll be partying, and then like it'll be like 2. Everyone's like, all right, we're calling it. Let's go. Like like very rarely are there like unless it's a huge group and it's like a huge deal. It probably won't go past 3.
Yeah,
but like
at a certain point,
they're like, all right,
you know,
stay inside. Yeah.
And just because they've seen some stuff, it's just part of their life. They're not like, oh my god, there's a ghost. We have to call the Elizabeth Warren. They're just like, no, we get.
We get it.
We gotta go home.
Let's go home.
There's a ghost.
Yeah, it's time to be safe. Let's get yeah.
That's wild. Well, yeah, I mean, pretty good first story. I'm not gonna lie.
I like the first story. Well, I also thought it was really cool that she had a tape recorder. and got
Yeah,
the whispers.
so,
and,
okay.
and the sounds were actually
Mm-hmm.
happening, which
Mhm.
is wild.
I would love to like reach out to the. So okay, the post that I found too. This was from like it was either 2 or 4 years ago. So I don't even know if it's still active on Reddit, but like I'm not really sure how Reddit works. Somehow it got deleted or whatever. You can still see it, but I don't think you can post on that like subreddit anymore.
Yeah,
Like, you can't like it was like somebody like, anyone, have you ever experienced
It's
anything
just-
weird?
yeah, yeah.
A comment here, and then that's where I found that story. And so trying to reach out to that person and be like, do you have the audio? Would be wild.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen it? Like, did you listen to it? Was it did they get rid of it?
Yeah.
Also, what time? They don't really explain like what time period this happened.
True.
So like they could be 40 years old and this happened back in like the 90s or the 80s or whatever, or I don't know. So it's like maybe it's a legit tape recorder versus like you being able to do it on your phone now.
Yeah.
So
Or like if they have a camera, or like if they have that type of stuff, like if they could set that up, that would be crazy.
Dude, I've always I saw this meme and I'm like, this is so true. If we have like the most powerful telescoping camera in the world where we can take pictures of galaxies millions and millions of light years away, but our CCTV cameras can't even pick up a guy fucking a foot away from them.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
They're doing that on purpose. they want to get robbed.
Yeah, they definitely do want to get robbed. I mean,
But anyways, all right. Well, let's listen to the second story. See what that's about. Good little palate cleanser. The first one's the longest one. The second two are going to be a little bit shorter, and they're going to continue. I think the last one is the shortest one, but still.
Story 2. Echoes of the Past. My mom grew up in a small town in Mexico where everyone knew each other. Back in the 1980s, the population was around 350. At the time of these events, she was just 10 years old. Paranormal experiences seemed to run in our family. At some point in our lives, every member has encountered something inexplicable. Here are a few of my mom's stories that I think are worth telling. My mom's family lived in a tiny adobe house. It was a cramped home for the 5 of them: my grandparents, my uncle, my aunt, and my mom. The kitchen was at the front of the house, and the bedrooms were at the back. A wall divided the kitchen from the rest of the house, with a door inside connecting the 2 areas, much like how some hotel rooms have adjoining doors. There was also a window in one of the rooms that looked out into the kitchen. The kids slept in one room, while my grandparents slept in the other. My mom, aunt, and uncle shared the room with the window. My mom often recounted how, at night, they would hear chairs being dragged across the kitchen floor, and the sounds of objects being knocked off the table. One night the noises were so loud that they woke her and her siblings. Despite knowing what was likely causing the noise, their curiosity got the better of them, and they looked through the window. To their astonishment, they saw a small shadow dragging a chair across the room. Terrified, they ran to their parents' room and spent the rest of the night there. The noises continued all night. They believed it was my great-great-grandfather, who had lived in the house before it was passed down to my grandmother, playing tricks on them. On another occasion, my mom awoke in the middle of the night and saw a large black dog with red eyes beside her bed. She was so frightened that she hid under the blanket and didn't come out until morning. She always believed she had seen the devil in the form of a dog. She also once saw what looked like a monkey hanging and swinging from the door of her room. Those are a few of the stories I remember her telling me. Now let me share some of my own experiences. It was Thanksgiving 2006. We had dinner with the family and I was 12 years old. I got mad at my mom because I wanted to go to the mall for Black Friday with her and my aunt, but she said no, so I stormed off to my room. My little sister and I shared a room with a metal bunk bed that made a lot of noise whenever you moved. That night I was watching Chicken Little, and it was probably around midnight when the movie ended. I turned off the light and tried to sleep, lying down facing the wall with my eyes closed. Suddenly the bed started creaking, as if someone heavy had lain down next to me. I turned around and saw the empty side of the mattress sink down, as if someone was lying there. I was paralyzed with fear and couldn't move or scream. I started to cry, closed my eyes tightly, and let out the loudest scream I could muster. My little sister and cousin came rushing into the room and turned on the light. My sister hugged me as I tearfully recounted what had happened. When they turned on the light, we could see the bed sheets were messed up, as if someone had been lying there. That experience has stayed with me ever since. Throughout my life, I've had other encounters with the paranormal, usually seeing shadows, hearing footsteps, or sensing someone trying to open doors. Back in Mexico, my mom's siblings, my aunt and uncle, would often stay over at our house when they visited from the US. I remember one occasion when my aunt told my sister that if she didn't behave, La Mano Peluda, the hairy hand, would come and get her. It scared my sister terribly. That night, my aunt was awoken by tapping sounds. She heard 3 knocks on our room's door. She believed it happened because she had tried to scare my sister. I have more stories, but I need to remember them and write them down. I'll share next the more recent ones that have happened to my family since we moved houses. Just in case you're wondering, I lived in Mexico for 11 years, from age 1 to 11, and have spent the rest of my life here in the US. Also, English is my second language, so I apologize for any bad grammar.
Golly, son.
Dude.
That one was shorter, but it's jam packed with stuff.
Yeah.
Like it kind of felt like a little bit of like a little taste. You know what I mean? Like a little teaser.
That guy's gonna write a book. He has a whole bunch. That's
Well, the
crazy.
thing with him is too, is like, it felt like he had the way he described it was his family. You almost had, it's like a rite of passage,
right
to see something.
Yeah, everyone's seen one. He's like, it's totally normal to see something. It's just pretty crazy.
So is that? But that's like one of those things where if you want to find something and you look hard enough, you will find it.
Yeah.
Like, there was a girl on TikTok for a while that this was a long time ago. It was probably when COVID happened. I saw it. She had said that she felt that the song "Neon Moon" by Brooks and Dunn had some very racist stuff in it, and a lot of people were like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like, but it's because she was. I mean, you dig far enough into something, you'll find a way to connect it. Yeah, you'll find a way to connect it. And whatever her opinion was, like, I hope that Queen's doing well. But it's like, because he said like all of his family has seen something, and it's almost like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Like,
they were like,
are you looking?
Did you see that?
Like, are you looking for something? Like, no, I don't think every ghost story is real. I like the idea behind it. I think it's cool to hear ghost stories, but I don't necessarily believe everything. Plus, it depends on like the person. Do you know them? How credible are they? Are they always making up stories?
Yeah.
Is this the aunt that's always, making shit up? I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
well, we got a time frame on this one, 1980s.
The 1980s, and then his experience happened in like 2006.
Yeah.
But in the 80s, so they're definitely, I mean, again, probably some cameras and whatnot.
Definitely can't catch any, like, they wouldn't have anything to, like, pick up anything on.
But when he shared, go ahead.
No, I thought it was crazy that all 3 of them, when they went to check, they all saw the same thing.
Right.
And they were like,
was that him, or he said that was his mom?
That was his mom.
Right. Okay. And then so he said that they all ran into the room. So does that? I guess I would have to reach out to this person again. Did they not, like, the parents hear something too? Because they didn't say if parents heard anything or saw anything,
right?
Or if their reaction to it kind of sounded like, okay, y'all come sleep with us,
and they just.
But is that because like they know it's real and they just are like, I'm so used to this shit happening, or because they're just like, these kids are just gonna get in the bed? Yeah. So, I mean, I've had an experience where my mom, right? I saw something, or I thought I saw something. I didn't say anything. Years later, I brought up the story, and she also saw the same thing, but she just didn't say anything. Kind of back to what I was saying earlier of like, if your parents react to it,
right?
You're definitely freaking out, because they're supposed to be like your rock. They're supposed to be like the people that, like,
they're the most sensible.
Right, exactly, because that's their job. As a parent, you're supposed to do that, right? Like, if your kid's freaking out over their glasses falling in the water, it's like, bro, it's cool.
Yeah, it's okay, sorry.
But so I've had that happen before, but I've also had it happen where, like, I experienced something, or my siblings experienced something, and I was like, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I would love to know if like the grandparents, I guess his grandparents had seen anything. But also a black dog with red eyes.
Yeah,
I've seen that before, dude. At that same apartment I was saying about earlier, the fucking the creepy ass one. This house had the weirdest setup, and apparently this is how some European houses are set up. The bathroom light switch is on the outside.
Oh,
do you remember that from my
Yeah,
apartment?
yeah.
Like the light switch was on the outside, so like you could be using the bathroom
and
and
someone
then,
just like
exactly.
Yeah.
And we would do it to each other all the time, but that was during the day. At nighttime, I think one of my siblings did it. Oh, like I think somebody did it to Ira, my brother, and that caused a huge fight. And they were like, "Never again! Don't ever do that!" Like that was just a ground where we all put. Like it wasn't even our mom telling us; it was just all of us.
Yeah, just like
don't fucking
please,
do that, bro. Okay, the way it was set up was you would walk into the apartment, you would walk straight in. Right when you walked in was a living room,
Right.
and to the left corner of the living room, when you first, like if you're at the front door, the left corner past the living room was the dining room. Straight forward from the door is from the main entrance was the kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen.
And
was,
then
it was like one strip, right?
Right, and then the hallway. So then you would get in between the living room and the kitchen. There was a hallway that would lead into the rooms.
Yeah.
And so if you're going straight in, take a right, you're looking at the hallways. Right on the right side of the hallway was a closet. Right next to that was my room. Literally across the hallway was the bathroom. So
I remember that.
I would open my room door and the bathroom was there.
Right.
Well, because that light switch was on the outside, I would always have I would run out of my room, hit the switch real quick, and look to the hallway, make sure I didn't see anything, right? Because I was just a scared kid because we had already seen some stuff and heard some stuff, and go in the bathroom, use it, and this was like 2 or 3 in the morning, very late at night. It was during the summer, so like we were just we were up late. I finished doing the bathroom, and I'm just okay, whatever. I'm gonna hit the switch. I'm not gonna close the door of the bathroom. I'm just gonna run to my room. I hit the switch. I open the door, and I think I see something. And as I'm subconsciously saying, okay, I'm going to turn around and look, I hit the switch at the same time. So whatever I thought I saw is not all black. And I just saw 2 red eyes, bro. Swear, just 2 red eyes down the hallway. And I froze for like 2 seconds. I'm like, what? Just to like confirm what I saw. And I'm like, fuck that. I run into the room, lock the door behind me, and then go straight to bed. And I'm just like, nope, I'm not dealing with that. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
And like the next day, my mom had a weird rule, like you can't lock your door.
Oh, so she was like,
yeah. But it's also like, I was like 13. I was going through a period of my life where me being in a locked room was kind of.
I was like,
what's this kid doing in there? He's running. Never mind. So anyways, so she had that rule, so she just got all mad. I told her the story, and she was like, okay. I guess she hadn't seen anything, but that dog, I just reminded me of that story, bro. Also, funny as hell that the guy got mad that he couldn't go to Black Friday.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say
I'm like, dog, Black Friday now, I guess because you can just buy everything online, it's like non-existent compared to what it used to be, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember that there was videos of people celebrating Thanksgiving dinner in the line for Best Buy so that they could be there for Black Friday to get a really get a really shitty like MacBook or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that MacBook was bad, not bad for any, but just
but like old
right,
worn,
whatever it was. Like it was.
Or...
Also, I'm pretty sure there's been several articles that have come out saying that like on Black Friday, companies purposely sell like crappier versions of their stuff. That's why it's cheaper. Like it's not they're not actually losing as much money, and so like whatever you buy, but that's not the case for everybody. But just keep that in mind. But now that everything's online, like you don't have to worry about it. You can just
buy it.
Yeah. So, anyways,
but the monkey, seeing a monkey,
that was wild too.
Why would you see a monkey? Because so then that made me think of like alebrijes of like.
What are alebrijes?
They alebrijes are like Coco.
Yeah,
like, they're like spirit animals.
Oh,
and so like it was
like
making me think like maybe it was like family or their spirit animals
or
whatever that they
interesting.
were looking at.
Yeah,
and because like they're like all different types of animals, and it just depending on your personality and what your life is, they differ from people to people. So it was like maybe she saw like the grandfathers or something.
I didn't even think, dude. That's wild to think. that's dope as shit if that was.
That's pretty
But
cool,
also, if it was just a fucking monkey that got let go in the street,
and just
that's
hanging-
wild to see
hanging
a
in the
monkey.
house.
Just like it wasn't a ghost, bro. You saw a legit monkey.
That was my monkey.
You could have died.
Yeah.
Not because of a ghost, but because this monkey would have ripped your face off, bro.
Yeah, just like you left your window open.
Yeah.
The monkey crawled in there.
This is gonna age me, bro, because this is like a show, one of my favorite shows of all time. Shia LaBeouf, that guy.
Yeah.
He was like the brother, and honestly, I don't say the main character, but he kind of was in the show. And there's an episode where he's just like he's the kid that like he's the funny guy, but he's always getting in trouble.
Oh, okay.
Great show. I would recommend watching it. It's an old Disney show from like the late 90s, early 2000s. Fucking awesome. The lady that voiced Kim Possible. Did you ever watch that show?
Yeah.
Okay. The lady that voiced Kim Possible was the sister in that show. So,
okay.
you know what I mean? So anyways, like they were all just like Disney people. Then dude, Shia LaBeouf was like 13 in this show. It was crazy. But anyways, he would get in trouble because he would never do his homework. He was always failing.
Yeah.
He fell asleep, and they were like, "How are you?" Like he would fall asleep in his chair, and then his homework would be done, and it was perfect. Like he got straight A's, and this was a guy that would get a bunch of F's. And so like, what the hell's going on? Like, who are you cheating from? And he was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm literally going to bed, and I take a nap. And when I wake up, my homework is done. Yeah. He's like, I'm doing it in my sleep. I'm a genius or whatever. And then what ended up happening was his neighbor had a chimpanzee that they were like showing. He like knew how to do math and shit. Yeah. And he would come in through the window, do his math, and then leave because he would leave food on his table. And so his thing was like, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he would get trained by like, you get food if you do this right. So he would leave food on the table on his desk or whatever, and the monkey would do the homework and then leave. So, that's that's best case scenario. Yeah, worst case scenario is this fucking monkey's for real and rips your goddamn face off. So anyways, when he said that he would see like, when he felt that somebody, like I've done it before where like I'm sleeping and I feel like my mom comes sit on my bed and you just feel like your body, because of the bed, weight shifts. Exactly. Yeah. And you feel when somebody's sitting down. So that's creepy. And when he said that his sister came in and they saw a print of that, bro, when I leave in the mornings for work and I let my dog sleep in the bed, there's a print of where they were sleeping. So I know exactly what the hell they're talking about, and to be able to see, and if you're to see that when no one's there. And the crazy thing too is like I can tell like what dog it was because one's bigger than the other, and also the way they sleep. Dakota likes to sleep in a circle, like she kind of balls up, and Maggie likes to fully stretch out. So you can just see the prints on my bed. So this was probably the easiest way to tell, was it an adult or a kid? Yeah. I don't know what would be creepier if you saw an adult ghost or a kid ghost. Yeah. But anyways, he also talked about seeing shadows, bro. When I was, this reminded me of that when I was a kid. I feel like this happened to a lot of my siblings. After a while, it stopped happening. This was up until like I was like 12, dude. In the corner of my eyes, I swear I would see somebody, and I would look, and it was just like a shadow. I saw it all the time, but it was never kids. It was always adults that I would see. But it was also times when I was by myself and just in my room. I would see shadows in the corner of my eye, and it's like, is it that shadow people? Is that the black-eyed children? Yeah. Have you ever heard of black-eyed children? I've not heard. That's wild. We'll talk about that one later. But it was just freaky, and after a while, it stopped happening. So I don't know if that's like a thing. Because when you're a kid, you're more of a pure soul. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've met some kids that are like, they're not pure souls. They're pieces of shit. Yeah. Silver cap kids. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. Oh damn! The dog just squealed. Yeah. Anyways, that shit scares the shit out of me. And like, have you ever heard of the Mano Peluda, the hairy hand? I've never heard of that. I think creepy though. Sounds creepy. Yeah, and the next couple of like episodes, I'll have to research that. And we can talk about that or whatever. I also thought it was crazy that she threatened. Like as a kid, I always thought that would happen to somebody. It would be like, you're gonna threaten me and watch, it's gonna come after you. You're using their name. And so when that happened, I'm never doing that. Never saying anything like that again. Yeah. It's gonna come back to you. Yeah, I hope it doesn't come back to me. Dude. Especially the knocks. Like the 3 knocks, bro. That's a distinct, like you hear that all the time with these like paranormal stories of like 3 knocks is like the devil or whatever. but it's also like 3 knocks is very specific. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. Maybe it's a very natural thing to do. So like I don't know. But still, that we've heard that before. I think that's what Theo Fern was doing to us when he freaked us out.
Exactly.
He would knock 3 times really loud, and like increments of 3, right? Da, 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 da. I don't know.
But especially because like you always hear 3 knocks. Like if it was 1, you'd be like, something hit the door,
Right?
Or like 2 is like, but 3 is like someone's definitely there.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Yeah, someone
3
is definitely doing that.
Yeah.
And they're there, or something is there.
3 knocks is very intentional.
Yeah.
Like there's no fate. I don't know.
You can't really just like, oh my bad.
Right.
Like you have to like, definitely know that someone.
Yeah.
Like
So
you're making that choice there.
I don't know, dude. That one, I like that story. That was pretty good. It's also short. This last one's gonna be really short, and I don't know if it's if I had the voices read out the what do you call
Story.
it? The story. The Reddit user. But again, I will be putting it in the show notes. So regardless, let's go ahead and play story number 3.
Story 3. The Man in the Ditch.
Working in the oil fields of Texas means moving to a different location about every month. This time, our team was working 25 minutes south of Charlotte, Texas. We had to be at work by 5 a.m., so we usually left San Antonio around 2:50 or 3 o'clock in the morning. On this particular day, I was riding with a coworker down a road we'd never traveled before. It was around 3:30 a.m., maybe a little earlier. If you've ever been to South Texas, you know how dark and desolate it can be in some places. As we drove along this lonely road with no houses or cars around, we noticed a figure on the opposite side of the highway. It was a man standing there, facing the ditch. He didn't move an inch, just stood there, facing the ditch with no one else around and no vehicles in sight. As we got closer, he still didn't move. I couldn't help but think, what the hell is someone doing out here at 3:30 in the morning, standing outside in the middle of nowhere? Normally, if you're outside in the dark and a vehicle is coming down the road, you'd at least glance at it. Well, at least I would, but this guy didn't. We drove past him, and he never moved or turned his head. It creeped the hell out of us. When we told another coworker about the strange encounter, he suggested we look for any crosses around the area on our way home. So, on our return trip during the daytime, we kept our eyes peeled. Sure enough, there were 2 crosses exactly where the man had been standing. Was it a ghost? Or just a random person in the middle of nowhere? We never drove back down that road in the dark again to find out.
Nice, short and sweet, but that one is kind of creepy because I've had a similar experience to this, but like the part that this story is like, seems kind of generic, whatever. But the part that got me and like really piqued my interest was like when he drove by and the lights went over, like past the guy or whatever. He just didn't react to it.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, like that seems like if it was a real life person, it's kind of a psychotic person because they don't care who's around, they don't care who's looking.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that kind of gave me a little bit more legitimacy. Like if it was a real person, you're gonna freak. Like if you're doing something illegal or whatever on the side of the road, you're gonna react to it like, oh, I wasn't, or if you're just like hanging out there waiting for somebody to come pick you up, you'd be like, is that them?
Yeah.
But they just didn't react at all. Like, and it's also like 3, 4 in the morning, like you said, and that's
unusual.
Yeah. First of all, what the fuck are you doing out there? Now, I have seen it when people get so drunk at parties that they just start walking home, and then they just get lost, and they just are in the middle of nowhere, drunk, late at night, no keys, no phone, no nothing. So that's also a creepy scenario because something could happen to that guy. Like he could get hurt, he could, get killed by somebody
or something. Yeah.
Or he could get attacked by an animal or some shit. But I don't know. What'd you think?
I don't know. Maybe. No, the first thing that I thought was like some homeless guy. Like he's at his ditch and he's just like, finally did it, guys. Like this is the place, or like I feel like that would be the only reason, or like someone's like gone off drugs or something, just hanging around there, or I don't know. But I think the lights definitely like that's the thing.
That's
like
freaky.
You're just like
you have to react to that.
Yeah.
It's also late at night, and he said it's like super dark out there.
Yeah, like
Right.
You're looking at nothing, and
Right.
then lights come through, and you're like, oh, I can see right now.
Also, if they didn't want to react to it, they could have tried to hide or something.
Yeah,
But he didn't. And he saw those crosses later. That like I guess somebody had gotten killed on that.
Around the ditch area over there.
Also, if I was a ghost, I would hate to have like haunt a street
yeah,
where there's nobody.
Yeah, that
You're
was
just
like,
fucking bored for eternity, and every once in a while somebody drives by and you can scare them. Versus like I'm in a house, I can haunt somebody inside the house all the time.
Yeah, or at least you have somewhere to go.
Also, imagine being the ghost of like a 13-year-old boy going through puberty. It's like you're about to go scare him. It's like, dude, it's your 13th time jacking off, bro.
Come on, man. I thought you were done. Yeah.
So fucking dumb. That's okay. What's worse, being a ghost haunting a street in the middle of nowhere, or haunting a 13-year-old kid? I would probably take the kid just because eventually they'll move out and they'll grow up versus you staying on the road.
Yeah, you just
and maybe years down the line they build something there, but I doubt it.
By that time, you're not even the ghost no more.
Yeah,
you're just like a gust of wind or something. I don't know. Like, dang, yeah, that would suck. Like, hunting a road is crazy. I think that's gotta be that's gotta be a sitcom or something. Like the ghost that hunts a road. And, like, they start gentrifying it so he doesn't know what's going on. So they're like I don't know.
Tries to scare you. We only speak Spanish and we only speak English.
Yeah.
Now he's fucking hunting a Whole Foods that got gentrified, bro.
Yeah.
It used to be a taqueria and now it's a fucking
Whole Foods.
That's one of my favorite things in South Texas is like the OG Whataburgers. They were built like a bro.
Yeah.
They get bought like they get moved or whatever.
They change
it to like a Mexican restaurant. It's like a Guadalajara.
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah,
it's just
it's the same shape. Like you recognize
like that used to be a Whataburger, 110%.
Yeah,
dude, I don't know, but anyways, God, that's fucking awesome. All these things I'm gonna be posting pictures of too, so you can see what I'm talking about. Though.
Yeah.
The what a Guadalajara
is. Yeah.
But okay, so in Laredo, if you take I-35 from Austin or wherever all the way down, it ends at the border.
Yeah.
So you can take 35 all the way to Mexico.
Yeah.
Well, in Laredo, if you take 35 all the way down, right before you get to the border, you can hook a quick left. There's a few lefts you can take, but you can literally hook a quick left or just take a left or whatever. So you don't get to the border, like the actual like border itself, the physical border. Because if you do, I don't know if there's a way you can turn back around. When you're in line, like there's no way like, oh, I'm going to turn back around because it's a one way.
Right.
So anyways, but if you take that last left, you'll miss it, but you'll cut through like the old part of Laredo, the original part. There's a bank there. I think it's a IBC or one of those. And it has like a World War I and World War II statue out front. Like really old part. Oh no, I'm lying. Yeah, World War I statue or whatever. Anyways, out there, there used to be an old military base that they used in Laredo because it was so hot. The climate was similar to like Iraq and Afghanistan, I guess. So they would train soldiers out there for the longest time. It's not there anymore. I don't think so. But that's also where all the old Catholic churches used to be. And so my dad and my uncle from my side of the family, you're not related to them, just because they're my dad and my uncle. So not your immediate family.
Yeah.
But you know them. You've met my dad. But anyways, they ended up opening up. They're not Catholic. They're Pentecostal, I think. But they got a church on a corner lot in that area, meaning like from that church to the border, like the actual physical border where you cross into Mexico, is like a 2-minute drive and like a 15-minute walk.
You can walk there.
Yeah, exactly. And so that area too, similar to what I said earlier, it wasn't. It didn't have like LED like street lights. It also wasn't very lit either. It was just like every other corner would have like a one of those yellow street poles that are super hot, and you hear them humming like a mile away down. Yeah, exactly. And we were driving. This would have been mid to early 2010s, and it was myself, my dad, and my brother, and we had done something at the church. I don't know if we had gone for service or whatever, but my dad made us go all the time when we would visit him. Like he was there like every day. So as a kid, you hate that dude. But We were leaving, and super dark. He had an old car that like barely ran. AC didn't work, so we had the windows down, and he like drilled like a tiny office fan into his dashboard, and he hot wired it to be able to use the car plug to like be able to turn on. That's what his AC was. He didn't have an AC, so we were driving and we were leaving, bro. And he rolls up his windows, and I'm like, yo, it's hot as balls. This is at nighttime too. It's hot as balls. Like, why are you rolling the window up? I didn't say that to him. I was saying to him, I was like, Dad, why are you rolling the windows up? I did say that part. And he was like, it's just, I don't know. I got cold. And I'm like, you got cold? Then roll them. I don't know. I look to my left because we're at a stop sign. There's no street lights. It's just a stop sign. So it's a four-way stop.
Right.
The corner across from me to the left of us, there's a light pole with one of those damn yellow humming lights. And there's a nun standing under there. And she was, first of all, that's already creepy. Like, unfortunately, nuns have become like a very creepy staple.
Yeah.
Especially in movies. I mean, because of the movie Nun.
Yeah.
But she was just standing there, bro. And she was also wearing like old school nun garments. Like down to the legs, all black, versus now nuns can, I could be wrong. I'm not a part of the Catholic Church, and I'm also not a nun, so I couldn't tell you. But they're like, they have the blue ones now, and they have the white ones, and they also have them at their skirts, so they're not all the way to the ground.
Yeah.
Well, this lady was wearing them all the way to the ground, hair fully covered and whatnot, and was just standing there, bro. And I've said this story several times, and when my dad has been around, I've said this story, and recently, well, I saw him a few months ago. I brought up that story because Kyler was there with us. We were having dinner or lunch or whatever. And I had told him the story, and he goes, oh, yeah, the nun that was floating. And I was like, I didn't notice that. I just freaked out, and I looked away when I saw the lady because I was like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I looked forward. I was like, I just didn't want to react.
Yeah.
Because, again, if I freak out, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But if my dad freaks out, then that legitimizes what I saw. He didn't freak out. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm just being a little baby. And I was like, Dad, did you see that? He goes, yeah. Did you see the same thing I saw? He goes, yeah, the lady. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. It was just a nun, whatever. Yeah. She's just, because there were a few Catholic churches down the street, but way down the street. I told this story to him recently, and he said that she was floating. And I was like, what? The reason why I guess I had forgotten this part, but the reason why we were at that stop sign for so long was because we stopped, we saw her, she kind of saw that we saw her, crossed the street, but she floated across the street, bro.
What?
And there was no light on the side that she crossed. So at that point, we just couldn't see her anymore. And once she crossed, he hit that gas and took off. Plus, once you get past that stop sign, you hit a highway. So you had to pick up the speed anyways. Or you hit like a freeway or something. Yeah. So you have to pick up the speed. So I'm like, I didn't really think much of it. So he told me that, and I'm like, yo, what?
What?
I guess I didn't realize that she floated over, and I'm glad I didn't, because that would have fucking freaked me out. But either way.
That's wild, though.
Yeah.
That's wild. It's wild that your dad was like, yeah, she's floating.
Yeah, and my dad is to this day, is a very, very, very devout Christian. Like, he doesn't mess around with that kind of stuff. He's like, absolutely not, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, I saw that 110%. Like, that was wild. A matter of fact, a few years before I told my dad shared that, meaning like, obviously not this year.
Yeah.
I said it to your dad, my uncle. I told him that story and where that area was. He told me that, I guess a long, long time ago, I guess when Mima was a kid, before she moved to Laredo and she was just coming over to visit, there was an old Catholic monastery or whatever it is in that area where I saw the lady. And you'll have to fact check this, but, don't ruin the show.
Yeah.
But apparently they had caught the priest in a relationship with one of the nuns. And I think somehow, I'm mixing up the story, but either she killed herself because she was going to have to, she was no longer allowed to be a nun because they caught them having sex. Or it could have been that he killed her because he wanted to keep his priesthood or whatever. So there was just a nun died, and then several days later, the church caught on fire and burned completely to the ground. And if you go to that area that I'm talking about, there's still so many buildings out there that don't belong to anybody, and they're just like
They're like abandoned.
they're abandoned, but they're fully like streets or blocks and blocks of, and these aren't blocks and blocks of like buildings, but these aren't like, oh, you know, it's one building, then down the block is another one. It's like several buildings in one block, and all the bricks touch each other, so they're all connected, and no one does anything with them. They've had collapsed they've had collapsed roofs for years, and the buildings themselves are falling apart. Windows are completely destroyed. You won't see a lot of graffiti though, because people see a lot of like
crazy
paranormal
stuff.
shit there, and like, yeah, we don't want to tag anything, because I don't know, it's something about like leaving your print there, like your spiritual print there, so that it can follow you. I don't know. But regardless,
Yeah.
that's what I've seen and I've heard. But that's all we have for today. I think this is a pretty good first episode. Guys, let us know if there's any stories you want us to talk about and hear about. But regardless, Fernie, any last minute thoughts
No.
about the show?
Creepy. Get you thinking. Really leaves you in a mood of unsettling. It's unsettling when you.
Yeah,
Especially like that parent thing. I think that's
it's right.
like when your parents are freaking out, you're like.
Right.
That, like,
Yeah. Also, we're filming this during the daytime. We need to.
Do we need to do it at night or like in a dark
Some
room?
of these some of these at night. Not all of them, because that is kind of creepy. But still, my last final thoughts is I'm excited about this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. This is a good episode. I like this.
We might do another one very soon. Meaning we'll just go switch our shirts and act like it's a different day.
Yeah.
But regardless. Thanks again, guys. To shout out to everyone that we got the stories from.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. I don't remember if I did plug the authors or the Reddit users' names on there, but they will be in the show notes. So shout out to everyone.
And if you have stories, definitely.
Or any suggestions of like, look into Lechusa stories, look into whatever. And they don't just have to be about the U.S., Texas, or Mexico. If you have a story you want to send us, by all means, I'll plug an email in the show notes as well of where you can reach out to us. And yeah, I'd love to hear back from you guys. Regardless, Fernie, good first episode.
Good episode. Yeah.
Until next time, guys.